Welcome back to another video in this video series. In this episode, we are going to solve the second problem, and the problem is made available in this PDF file. So it is hosted on this GitHub link. I'm going to make the link available in the video description below. So the problem is for us to read this text file, countries1.txt, and then save each row, each country row data into its own text file. So if you remember, we worked with this particular text file where we saved the data from the Wikipedia page into the text file countries_1.txt. So this is the copy of the text file, and then as you can see, it has countries from line 6, which is China, India, United States, Indonesia, Pakistan, up to line 238, which is the Vatican City. So the task is for us to read the content of this file and then get each row which represents a country into a separate file as demonstrated here. So here we can see that Afghanistan is a file on its own, Albania is a file on its own, Algeria, and so on. So each line which represents the data of a country should be collected and saved into its own independent text file. So that is what is expected from this problem. So we need to solve this using Python scripting. So the file names are the country's name obtained from the corresponding row. So the file name we are going to use to save this text file are these ones. So these are the country name. They are going to be used as the file names. So I hope the explanation for this problem is clear. So let's dive into it. And just before then, the exercise for this video is to select the text files that have punctuation in their file names. So after we have solved the problem, then we need to carry out this exercise. So I'm going to leave you with this exercise at the end of the video to carry out. So I will show you the solution or the answer, but I'm not going to show you the detailed code. So you have to work out the code on your own. This is the only way for you to get better working with Python programming. So let's open up the script and then scroll to where we have the solution. Then I'm going to walk you through the solution in a better environment, which is the Jupyter Lab environment. So this is the solution for the second problem. Then as you can see it here, so I'm going to open it up in a text editor for better presentation. So the solution is right here, opened in the Sublime text editor. And then as you can see, we have the complete code here. So I'm going to copy it, take it into the QGIS environment, run it from there, and then I will take it to Jupyter Lab for detailed explanation. So let's go back to QGIS, open up a new script window, then I'll paste what I've copied. The end result is going to be saved in this folder called country text folder. So the path is saved into this variable. So if I run it, you will see the result. But before then, let me open up the folder to see whether we have some content in the folder. So the folder is right here, which is empty. So it's expected that if I run the script, it will save individual rows from the text file we read into this folder. into individual files within this folder. So let's do that. So here I'm going to click on run, and then hopefully it will run and generate the text files. So here we have the end result. As you can see, this is Afghanistan. So the Afghanistan role is copied into its own text file. Albania, we have its role. Algeria, we have its content copied from the main text file into its individual text file. Colombia, the same thing. Chile, Nauru. So all the files, Uruguay, all the files, all the rows have been copied into individual text file. So I'm just opening at random to be sure that every text file has something, has its corresponding role copied into it. So this is the solution. So I'm going to explain it in detail using the Jupyter Lab environment, but I'm going to delete the content before then. So let's delete it. So let's go back to the Jupyter Lab environment for explanation of the code. So here we are in the Jupyter Lab environment. This is the content of the code, and as expected, the result is going to be saved inside this folder. This is the folder, and the folder is currently empty. So to start with, if you're given a problem like this, what you need to do is to draft the pseudocode. So this pseudocode is just like an English version or whatever language you are more familiar with. So you write the step-by-step process of solving the problem using the best language you understand. So since we are using English, we write the pseudocode in English. So these are the step-by-step approach of solving the problem in pure English language that human beings understand. So from here, you can now work your way through the Python programming language to solve the problem at hand. So the first thing we need to do is to get the path to the text file. So remember, we are reading a text file. And if I go back to my working folder, the text file is inside this data folder. And this is the text file we are talking about. So the text file is called country_1.txt. And this is the content. So we need to read this file. Then for each country, each row that corresponds to a country, we'll copy the row into its own individual text file. And then we'll save it right into this folder. So let's go back. So the first thing we need to do is to get the path to the text file. Then open it and then read all the lines into a list. Yes. So we need to open it and then read all the lines into a list. So this is exactly what we did here. We got the path to the text file. As you can see, this is country1.txt. Then we opened it and then read the content into this variable called text_content. So we use the function read lines, after which we now close the file object. Then the next pseudocode is read path to the folder where the new text file will be saved. Then of course we have to read path to the folder where we are going to save the new text files. Then the next is to identify the rows of interest. They are those that end with this particular character, that is %\n. So if I go back to the text file, you'll see that the rows that ended with %\n, they are the ones that represent the countries. So they are the rows for countries, and all other ones are not of interest to us in this case. Then the next item on the pseudocode, we need to grab the country name from the row to be used to as this text file name. That is this. We'll collect this, which are the country names, and then we are going to use them to save the text files. Then the next is to create the text file and then write the rows into it. Now let's take a look at the code one line after the other. So first things first is to read the text file and then save the content into a variable called text underscore content. So I'll just copy the line, paste it here, and then execute it. So if I run, I don't have any error, which shows that the path to the text file has been read successfully and is saved inside this text file. So I can verify that by copying the text and then running it. So you can see this is the path to the text file. Then the next is to use the open function to open the text file and then read its content. So I use the read line function to read its content into this variable called text content. So remember that there are many functions that comes with the open file object. So if I do a dir on the file object f, you'll see that I have so many functions that I can use, and they include the read lines functions. So we discussed this in detail in one of the previous videos, so you can refer to it to get more about the difference between the read lines, and even the read function. So the read line basically reads the content of a text file, with each line being an element in a list. So read lines read the content into a list, with each line being a content or item within the list. So if I check the content of the text content, you see that the text content is actually just a list representation of what we have in the text file. So looking at the rows here, where we have the first country, China, you can see that the beginning started with a space and then it ended with %\n. So if I go back to the raw text file and then if I select the China row, you see that it has a space somewhere here. Then it ended with %. So you cannot see the \n because \n is new line. So that's the new line character in Python. And the new line is the one that enables the second line or the Indian country to start on a different line. So it is because this ended with \n, that is why this is on a different line. So because the Indian line ended with \n, that is why United States continue on a separate line. So, but if you print it in a text, in a list, inside the Python environment, you should see the character. But if you view it in a raw text editor, you will not see it. You only see the result. You will not see the character \n as seen here. So here we have a list of items, and each item represents a row within the text file. So, but we are not interested in all the text files. So we need to identify the ones we are interested in and then remove them, filter them out from the list. So if I go back to the main code, this is what the line 4 of the pseudocode is talking about. So identify the row of interest. They are the ones that ended with %\n. So before we do that, we could also read the path to the folder where we are going to save the resulting text file, which is this folder. It is called country underscore text underscore folder. So I'll just read in the file, reading the path to that folder, and then keep it aside. So I could have even read it from the beginning, maybe somewhere here. Immediately I read the text file, I could read the path to the folder where I'm going to save the resulting text. So I have that at hand. Then the next is for me to identify. So we keep this for loop aside, and then treat the content individually first before we apply the for loop. So we need to identify the row that has the country information we're looking for. So I recall that the row we have identified it to be the one that ended with percent and then the new line character, which is \n, as seen in our list. So to do that, to identify it, we could easily use the Python function called the endWith. So there is the endWith function. So using the endWith function, you can find what a string ends with. So for example, if I access the first element of this list, which is this item. So if I apply the endWith, maybe if I say endWith, and then if I just use \n, that's the new line. It should return either true or false. So the result is true because it ended with a new line character. But if I test it for percent, this should return false because it doesn't end with the percent sign. So, but if I change the index, maybe let's say the second one is false. Let's say maybe the 10th one, the 10th item is also false. The 100 item is also false. So the reason why it's false is because it doesn't end, the 100 item doesn't end with a percent. So let me comment this out and then check what the content of the 100 item is. So the content of the 100 item ends with percent and then \n, not just percent. So if I go back and then change it to percent, then \n, you should see that the result will be true instead of false. So this is how we identify that, okay, the ones that ended with just \n, they are not enough. They have to end with percent sign and then a \n. Those are the rows that represent the countries that we are looking for. So if I go back, we can now write a simple for loop to look through the content, text content, and then filter out those countries, those items, those list items that ended with a %\n. So we could do that and save it in a new list. So let's actually do that in a new list. So maybe I could just say maybe new text content is equal to, let's say is equal to a new list. Then I will now use the for loop for item in text content list. So I now want to filter it out. So I'll now filter by saying if the item dot ends with %\n, if it ends with that, then what I need to do, I need to append it to this new list we created from above. So now say the new list dot append. So append is another method or function that comes with a list. So it is used to append new content to a list. So we now append the item to the empty list we created. So if I check, if I do a dir on the list, you should see that we should have a we should have an append function as seen here. So append is a function that comes with a list. So aside from that, we have so many other ones like insert, extend, cut, reverse, sort, and so many other ones. So that was how I got to know about the method. So if I run this, we should have a new list that contains just the countries rows. So run. Then if I check the content of that, maybe if I use the print statement. So the new content is this. So you can see it has removed the first 5 rows. So it has moved these rows into, and then we are left with these rows that ended with %\n. So I can check it directly. Like this, maybe it will be more clearer. So you can see the first item ended with this, the second item ended with the expected character we have. So we can make use of this to perform to complete the task. So we have successfully executed this, and then we don't longer need it since we have a new variable now that has the exact content we wanted. So so we could go directly to loop through the new list we created. So but before then, let me first of all use the content of the first item of the new list and then save it into a text file. So to do that, we need to open the text file. We need to open the text file with the write mode and then write the content in it and then close the file. So what I would do is this. Let me call it file, or maybe txt file. I hope the name is not conflicting with any other one. Let me just call it file name is equals to, then I'm going to open the text file for writing. So this is going to be the file name. Then I will now have the mode as X. Remember, we have different modes for saving, for opening a text file. Here we have them listed here in the documentation, and X is to create a new file and open it for writing. So this is available in Python 3. So then the text file name could be anything. Let's call it maybe a.txt. So with this open as file name, I will now write. I will say file name dot write. I will now write the content, the first row, like this. Remember that this is the first item within the new list. So I will write the first item within the list, and then after which I will now close the file. So I'll call the file object and then call the close method or function. So if I run this, this will create this file inside the directory where we have this Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebook running. But that is not what I want. I want it to be on this part, be inside this folder. So I'll copy the folder variable and then I will use f string and then use the curly braces to add variable right in there. So what we have now, by the time I run this, the whole of this will be a full text or an obsolete part to the text file a.txt. Let me print it out on a new cell so that you see what I'm referring to. So as you can see, this is the absolute part to the newly created text file, and it's going to be in the folder where we are working. So if I run this, this should create the text file A and then save the content right in there. So run, we have an error. Okay, this is a capital letter, it should be in small letter. So run it again, and then we have no error, then we got our result. So if I open it up, I now have the content of the list item, the first content of the list item into the text file called A. So we are getting closer to what we wanted. The problem wants us to use this file name, want us to use the country name as the file name. And I think aside from that, there's nothing else. So, but if you look at the country has like a string or like an empty string or space within it. So we will have to find a way of cleaning that out of our way. So let me close this and then go back to the script. So from the pseudocode, remember that we need to grab the country name from the row to be used to save as the file name. And to do that, what we did was simply to split the row using a special character called tab. That's a \t or tab. Because if you look at what we have here on this first row, for example, here the items are separated by \t. So this arrow you are looking at is actually \t. It's a special character, and it is read in Python as \t. So to achieve that, what you need to do is let's copy the content, the list, and then see the first item. So we're accessing the first item here, and then as you can see, this is China, then \t, Asia \t, which is exactly what we have here. The content, the name of the country \t, then Asia, which is the continent, then \t, then Eastern Asia, that's the region, then \t, then the population, and so on. So if you take a look at the second country too, India, then \t, then the continent \t, then the region \t, then the population. So let's check for the second country. You can see it's the same thing. So we can split the string based on this \t. So we can now use the split function, split at \t, and then we'll now have a list that contains individual element separated by that \t. So the first item is exactly what we want. So to select the first item, we need to use the bracket and then the index of 0 with the index of 0. So if I run it, you see that we have the first item selected. So but since the name has a leading space, empty space, we can easily remove it by using the strip function. So strip without any parameter in the bracket will clean the leading and then the ending spaces in a string. Run it, you see that leading spaces are gone. So if we have one at the end or at the beginning, this will remove it for us. So all these are string functions. So if you have any string, if you do a dir on any string, you should see those functions. So for example, like what we have here, maybe if I have a string called name, then if I check the dir on it, you see that we have all these methods that we can apply on. So the strip is here. We also have split, which you have used. So you can do lower, you can do upper case, you can do replace, you can do title, swap case, and so many other string functions. You can do count, encoding, format, find, and so many functions or methods of a string that you can apply. So that is how to get to know some of these methods. So with this in our hand, we can now use the for loop to loop through the content of the new list and then get the file name and then the rows, extract the rows. With this in our hand, we can now loop through the content of the new list, extract the rows, and then get the file name, then use the file name to save the items within the new list into individual text files. So let's do that. So what I will do here is to loop through the content of the new list. So I will say for item in the new text content. Then what I need to do first is to I'm going to open up the item. I'm going to open up a folder which the file name is going to be the country name that we are going to extract using this snippet we wrote above. So first of all, I will get the file name. So first of all, I will say file name is equals to file name is equals to the whole of this will now be applied on this item. So on every item, I want to get the file name. You can even go ahead and print the file name to see what we have. So if I go ahead, print the file name, you see that we have all the countries printed out. Just like that. So we are getting there. So now that we have the file name, we need to open a text file. So I will remove this line. So I'm opening the text file with the file name. So here I will replace this A with the variable file name. Then I now need to write the item into the text file that was open. Then I have to close it. So at the first loop, which is China, it will write this row with the name of the country into the text file. At the second loop, which is India, it will use India as the file name and then write the row into the text file. At the third loop, which is the United States, it will do the same thing. The fourth, which is Indonesia, it will do the same thing continuously up to the end. So hopefully that is what we should expect. So if you wish, you can add a print statement to tell you how the script is moving or how the loop is executing. For example, we just add a print statement that will say maybe something like processing processing. Uh, let me say, let me just use the file name. But instead of, since I'm using the variable, I'll have to uh, call it below the variable. After defining the variable, I'm now making use of the variable. So you say processing file name. The first one will be China. The second one will be India. Third one will be United States, and so on. So hopefully, if everything is right, if I run this, it should create multiple text files in this directory. So let's run it and see. So it is executing, and then it has executed successfully. Then as you can see, it says processing from China, India, United States, Indonesia, Pakistan, Brazil, Nigeria, Bangladesh, Russia, Mexico, up to the end. And it created all the corresponding files accordingly. So we'll have it just like that. So that is the result. So, and you can see the what we finally did was slightly different from the approach, the code we have here, but the concept is the same, the end result is the same. So if you put up this together, organize it in a more presentable manner, then you can have it as a script that you can send or share with others. So that is how the problem will be solved. Then the next thing we need to look at is the solution to the exercise. So remember, the exercise was to select the text files that have punctuation in their name. So some of the text files have punctuations in their name. Check, you will see that all these brackets are what we call punctuations. So some have punctuation, some have square brackets, some have the parentheses, some have dots, some have special characters, and so on. So the assignment requires us to select those files that have punctuations in their name. So by the time you finish the solution, so you are going to have the following list as your result. So as you can see here, we have the countries that have punctuations in their name. So I have truncated the code, but at least what I have here, I have shown you some hints. I made use of the OS library and then the string module. So these are some little hints that you can make use of, but the major part of the code has been truncated, and then you need to work it out by yourself. So the result will look like this. So all these are the countries that have a special character or punctuation marks in their name. And then punctuations, by punctuations I mean this, I mean the following characters. So any of the file name that has any of these within the file name, uh, the assignment, the exercise is for you to select the files, those files. And as you can see, China has one. It has this square bracket, so it is selected. Uh, Island has this parenthesis, so it was selected. Cyprus has this square bracket, and it is selected, so and so on. So this is the solution to the, or the answer to the exercise. So I strongly encourage you to take your time, work it out, and then get better at working with Python. So hope you enjoy watching this video, and I hope you are going to watch the next episode. Bye bye. Have a nice day.